Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brock Ross back at you with my review of the new Halloween movie. It's not a remake and kind of a sequel, though the director called it a recalibration, though it shares the same name with the original movie. We're just going to call it the new Halloween movie. Anyway, so what's it about? After 40 years, Michael Myers returns to Haddonfield to kill Laurie Strode, her family, and, anybody else who gets in the way. Or, tickles his pickle, whatever. Also, it does deal with more, such as, what has Laurie been up to for the last 40 years? What's her family situation like now? So on and so forth. So like that, Short opinion. Honestly, I think this is probably the best Halloween movie since the first one. I've spent the last day kind of, letting it sit and, marinate in my head for a little bit. So, yeah, I think I'm sticking to this being the best one since the first one. It's not a close second. It's not a close second best of the franchise. Franchise rankings, but it's not a distant second either. So but it's a good movie. Okay, cast of note. First off, we got Jamie Lee Curtis returning as Laurie Strode, survivor of Michael's 1978 rampage. Twice divorced, has both a daughter and granddaughter whom she is estranged from, has spent the last 40 years preparing for the potential eventuality of running into Michael again. Also, totally not Michael's younger sister. Then we got Judy Greer as Karen, Laurie's estranged daughter, resents Laurie for the way she was raised. Trying to definitely tries to keep Laurie at least arm's length from not just from herself, but also from her own daughter. Speaking of which, Andi Matichak as Allison, Laurie's granddaughter, Karen's daughter, obviously, trying to maintain a relationship with her grandmother. Somewhat against her mother's wishes. Recent inductee to the National Honor Society. High school student. Seemingly well liked. Has apparently a nice boy. A seemingly nice boyfriend. Friends and yeah. But is having a normal teenage life. For now. James Jude Courtney and Nick Castle as Michael Myers, aka The Shape. Do I really need to go into that? Haluk Bilginer as Dr. Sartain. I really should have looked that up on Wikipedia. Maybe it was a pronunciation. Michael's new doctor, a former protege of Dr. Loomis. Somewhat fascinated by Michael. Will Patton as Officer Hawkins, longtime veteran of the Haddonfield Sheriff's Department. Potentially stops Loomis from killing Michael back in 1978. However, now definitely not willing to make that will do what he can to not repeat that mistake. Ryan Reeves as Dana Haynes, an investigative reporter / podcaster wanting to do an episode on Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. Has a good idea on how to score an interview with a reluctant subject. Sometimes. Jefferson Hall's Aaron Corey. Also an investigative reporter and podcaster from the same podcast as Dana. or he is rather pretentious about his job. Figures that people should just, if the press, basically people should just want to be interviewed about things. Toby Huss as Ray, Karen's husband and Allison's father. Tends to be a bit lighthearted, though. When it comes down, he can, you know, put the jokes aside. I actually rather liked the way he was, the way Toby Huss played the role throughout the movie. It's a new character, but still, like I said, we first meet him. He's actually, for a lot of the movie, he's rather lighthearted, and then about midway through the movie or so, basically with things going the way they're going, he gets into serious mode. And in fact, also earlier in the movie, he does make a point of helping Laurie as best he can. Let's see what we got. Virginia Gardner as Vicky, a friend of Allison's, also a babysitter. Miles Robbins as Dave, Vicky's stoner boyfriend, likes firecrackers and motorcycles. Dylan Arnold as Cameron Elam, Allison's boyfriend, comes from a family with a bit of history. In fact, Ray mentions having the family has a bit of a reputation, and Ray makes some claims about his own history with said family at various points of the movie. Also, Cameron does. We do find out, of course, he does enjoy a drink or five. We got Drew Scheid as Oscar, who is going by Hollywood logic and whatnot. I would say just Cameron's best friend. Also, somewhat of a friend to Allison, but yeah. Anyway, so spoiler-free breakdown. Act 1. 40 years after the events of the first Halloween movie, two English podcasters go to Smith's Grove in the hopes of talking to Michael Myers, who continues giving the world the silent treatment. Michael's doctor reveals that he is soon to be transferred, however. Later, the podcasters go and briefly speak with Laurie Strode, who now lives in seclusion, having managed to estrange herself from her daughter as well as her granddaughter, who has just been accepted into the National Honor Society. Laurie decides that when she's told of Michael's pending transfer, Laurie decides she's going to intercept the bus transferring Michael, as well as others, from Smith's Grove with the intention of killing Michael. However, as the bus is leaving Smith's Grove, she changes her mind and there's some, she drinks a little bit, and she goes and joins her family, her family at dinner, and does have a bit of a breakdown. And then she's, sent back home, and yeah. It is soon discovered, however, that the bus from Smith's Grove has crashed, and the inmates, Michael included, have gotten loose. Anyways, so Act 2, Michael gets himself a change of clothes and retrieves his mask from Dana and Aaron, which, by the way, it should be mentioned, but the scene where Aaron holds up the mask for Michael at Smith's Grove is actually really cool. Like, Michael doesn't react to it at all, but everyone else there does, which, yeah, anyways. But he retrieves the mask, went on before heading to Haddonfield. both Officer Hawkins and Laurie begin tracking Michael in their own ways as he makes his way to and then through Haddonfield, while the sheriff's department relocates Laurie's daughter and Karen and her family to Laurie's house, which, well, calling it a house, it's more of a compound, and it's designed in such a manner that you can be safe there from practically anything. I'm not sure what survived a nuclear blast, but zombie apocalypse, absolutely. Yeah, it's something all right, especially when we really get a good look at all the security precautions in Act 3. Speaking of which, Michael arrives at Laurie's compound, and we had the final climactic battle between Laurie and Michael. And like I said, we get to really see just all the security precautions in the house, which are kind of cool. So anyways, movie's ups and downs. Ups, honestly, I thought the story was more than decent. It doesn't, well, it does, I will admit, yes, there are some moments where it's like, okay, this is obviously, this scene is obviously an homage to this scene from Halloween. There are quite a few bits of self-referent, quite a bit of nods themselves. Oh, excuse me. I thought the casting was good. Also decent acting, both from the returning cast and the new additions. Speaking of nods to other films in the franchise, they were, like I said, they were quite nice. Real standout were the masks from the Silver Shamrock masks from Halloween 3. There's also a bit of dialogue that states that no, as of right now, Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are no longer related. I think it's cool. This is the first installment of the franchise to directly involve John Carpenter. Since number 3. He's executive producer on this one, whereas from 4 all the way through Rob Zombie's remake of 2, we would get, basically, he got credited as creating the characters, and for composing writing the Halloween theme. But this time, like I said, he's back as an executive producer. The movie had some really likable characters, and it was actually it kind of felt bad to see a lot of them die. Now there are some that you're just like, okay, good, that character's dead. Fuck yeah. But there were more than a few where it's like, huh. Yeah, I actually kind of like that character. I wish they didn't have to die. Damn. The downsides. Well, first off, the fact that it retcons out Halloween 2. Because, well, Halloween 2 is not the best Halloween movie. That would be the original Halloween. But it does make for a good continuation of that story. And even though, yes, I do still feel that there are various reasons why in the original timeline, in Halloween 1 and 2, it just doesn't fit the idea that Laurie is Michael's little sister. Namely, there's no evidence of there being a baby living in the house in the very beginning of the first movie. But it became such an ingrained thing within the series at this point that, I mean, even with the jumps and the timeline jumps between, with 4 through 6, which has Michael's niece and Laurie's daughter. H2O and Resurrection, which has Laurie return, and in fact H2O even has that Laurie has a son instead of a daughter. But yeah, it's such an ingrained thing within the franchise that taking it out, removing it, it just doesn't. I'm not too keen on it. Now, while I'm happy to see a Halloween movie with Laurie Strode back, there are other characters from the from one and or two that would, at least one that would have been nice to have seen. Tommy Doyle, Lindsay, I can't remember her last name. Well, let's see. But Lindsay, it'll take me a minute here. Oh, well, her last name is not listed here, at least. Or Wikipedia lists it. Lindsay Wallace. Yeah, Lindsay Wallace, Tommy Doyle, these are characters that actually could come back. Hell, and the fact I'm bringing this character up is mainly because of watching reviews from another channel, Ben Tramer, who is mentioned as potential suitor for Laurie in both John Carver's Halloween and Rob Zombie's Halloween. In Halloween 2, he's the poor sap that gets hit by the car and blown up, and seems to be dressed like Michael Myers. Okay. But I actually it's interesting to me that one of the worst movies in the franchise is actually the only one that picked up on any of the other characters. That being Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, which had Tommy Doyle in the lead role. But yeah. There's also, so I mentioned Laurie's compound, and it's all about security. It's shown early on that there's barbed wire, gate, and all kind. Yeah, I mean security. But her granddaughter manages to run through the woods and run and hit and get to the point, or get to Laurie's shooting range, and then get to the house. So there's not a rear fence, basically. Which is bad. Just, can't get in the front. Oh, let's walk around the back then. But anyway, so final opinion. It was an entertaining moment entry in the series. Definitely, in my opinion, the best one since the first one. While it is very similar and reminiscent of H2O, I think it was actually done in a much better manner. And it feels to me much more like a Halloween movie. And while it does have jump scares, it didn't seem to rely too much on them. Which, in fact, it actually did try to build tension. Slowly build tension, much like the original did. Now, there are jump scares, don't get me wrong. There are points like, oh. But it's nowhere near as bad as, in my opinion, as Halloween H2O, where it's like, okay, we're building tension, jump scare, building, all right, tension, jump scare. But yeah, it was actually really good. It was really good. I'm glad I went to see it. It definitely cannot work at all with a unified Halloween timeline. There's no possible way. But I don't like the fact that it retcons out 2. I'm indifferent to the fact that it retcons out H2O and Resurrection. But 2, I mean, come on. I appreciate the fact that there were likable characters. And there were some things that the movie did surprise me in a few places. There are also some of the kills that we see happen are actually really cool. But a lot of these are more just we see the dead body as opposed to the actual killing. And that, I don't know, I want to see it actually happen. I want to see the character, especially, in a case of someone trying to fight Michael off. I want to see them try. I don't want to just see that they have failed. Obviously they're going to fail. But I want to see them try. I said, especially when it is at least somewhat likable character. Yeah, so that is the 2018 Halloween. Supposedly, the option of a sequel is in all the contracts. So maybe we'll get a new one. We'll see. But yeah, this was really cool. It definitely gives me some hope for the future of more serious for the future of slasher movies. One of these days I'll have to do up a, I'll have to actually rank all the Halloween movies. Of course I'll have to watch probably all the Halloween movies, including the Producer's Cut of 6. But anyway, overall rating, I gotta say 3.5 out of 5. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm gushing about it quite a bit, but there's still some things that, you know, I think it could have done better. Again, I'm gonna harp on this about it till, you know, the day I die. The whole wiping out Halloween 2, that bothers me. And then also, like I said, no mentions or appearances by other characters who at least survived the first movie, and or were at least just mentioned. So yeah. Anyway, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you want as well. Links to my social media, Facebook and Twitter, as well as my Patreon are in the description box down below. So you can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. If so inclined, donate to my Patreon. Hit the bell icon too if you want. That'll get you notified as to when I put up new material. Speaking of new material, tomorrow we'll be doing the plan at least is to do a much different take on the building the team videos. I think it's going to be kind of neat. Anyway, this is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.